Hi, and welcome to another episode of Strikers Best Bets. Pierre, welcome again. And obviously, we've got a very special guest with us today, champion trainer Paul Peter, who's now assistant to his son Tony. And it's great to have him on the show as well.
Yeah, always great to have someone that's got quality horses running on a big day and to give us the inside information. And Paul, he's never shied away from giving us his actual feelings. A lot of trainers sometimes say stuff to keep the owners happy, but Paul, he'll tell it as it is, so we can all work around his selections.
Absolutely. Paul, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I will try our best to guide the public in the right direction. That's the main aim of this industry, to keep the public happy. And please God, we can give it our best shot.
And more importantly, I think, Pierre, is that the Peter family, as a racing family, have always been transparent. They want the punters to win. They want their horses to win. I know because they're very close to my heart that they try with absolutely everything, and that's so important. And more importantly, is that they've opened up a new training facility out. Paul's going to, if he doesn't mind, I could just give us a little bit of a rundown. But they've opened up. I've been there. It's absolutely world class, and I'd love Paul just to share with our viewers exactly what they're doing, and also for the future and their future plans as Peter Racing.
Yes, it's been a bit of a mission, this new training facility. We've got a lovely piece of ground out in Elevainspoort, very close to Eye of Africa estate. And it's been like almost 5 years now going. I've made a good few trips to England, and I really like the way they do things there. So I said, let's try to develop something similar to that in South Africa. And we installed an all-weather track, which actually handled this last month's rains quite well. And we've put a lovely barn up there. So it's basically the first phase is done. We've got 32 horses at the moment there. And then once we have a bit of success, then we'll put phase 2 and phase 3.
And Paul, you know what must be a big asset as well is that you now employed Carl Strainer, who's just come from the UK. He can give you a lot of feedback, since you said you like the way they do it in the UK.
Yes, I love the way they do things in the UK. It's mind-boggling, and the way things work. And I actually met Carl there in the UK, and I've been following his career, and I really, really think he's a proper talent. And what a nice person, lovely attitude. He hasn't got a lazy bone in his body, and he's just so confident about the way he does things. And I think, please God, Tony and Tony and Carl go a long way. Two young guys with really good attitudes and are positive about the industry and just love the industry. So I think onwards and upwards with that combination, and with the 2 winners he's had for us in just under a week, we can't complain about his riding. If he can, he said he's going to be on your case for tips on how to brush up a little bit, and with your guidance, I think he's headed for the top.
Thank you so much. And I agree with you about the UK. I just feel that the places I've gone around the world, the training methods and the way horses seem to go on outrides, the UK just seems to be number one.
Yeah, it's just so horse friendly, and we've been to some top yards there. We went to Richard Hannon's yard, which is state of the art. Andrew Balding. We went quite around. We went to a guy that does very, very well in the winter there on the all-weather tracks, Tony Cattle. We've been to him a couple of times, and he's been a great help to us, and he gives us advice on on the phone to him all the time, and it's been a great help.
Well done.
Now that's great, Paul. Guys, so Saturday is a very important day. It's day 3 of the championships. It's called Champions Day. We've got 3 Group 1s on the card. We've got the last leg of the Triple Crown and the last leg of the Triple Tiara, where Hazy Daisy is trying to be another filly that has won the Triple Crown. I give her a big shout on the day. She's very, she is short priced, but she's got all the right to be at that price. Paulie, we're going to preview from race 2 to race 9. Obviously, Pierre is going to send out his bipots, PAs, pick sixes, and he's going to also send out a second bipot, although we're not previewing races 10 to 12. So I think let's just jump straight into it, guys. Let's get to the betting. This betting was put up by World Sports Betting on Thursday last week. So the betting is still very volatile. And obviously closer to race day, there will be a lot of changes as money comes for horses, pressure comes for horses. So we're going to start in the second race, where they're betting 19 to 10, number 3, Get Up. 26 to 10, number 2, Faithful Love. 27 to 10, number 4, Good Day Sunshine. 9 to 2, number 5, Griselda. 9 to 1, number 8, Volcanic Heat. And 14 to 1, Queen Layla. Yeah, I think we start off with you, because Paul hasn't got a run in the race. So let's start with you, and if Paul's got something to say about the race, and if he fancies anything, it'll be welcome.
Alrighty. So these are 2-year-olds, and who improves the most? Hard to say. The 3 horses I prefer are the 3 horses in the betting. It's number 2, number 3, and number 4. I think for the bipot, maybe put 2 of them in, and that should get you through in a small field.
Paul, have you got anything to add?
Yes, well, just as a spectator, I've actually was very impressed with Get Up and Good Day Sunshine's first wins. They were both very green, and it was a lot of improvement to come. And I just had a feeling that those 2 are like the 2 better 2-year-olds in Gauteng. I don't know about the PE horse; it's got to still travel up, and I don't know much about the form, but I think it's 3 and 4.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Paul. The 3-1, I guess, such a good race first time out, and obviously the source Good Day Sunshine also won a nice race. There's been a winner out of the Get Up form line, so I think Pierre's right. Okay, 2 horses will get us through. Let's move on to race 3, where the Peter Yard has got a run in the race, a horse I fancy tremendously, and I can't wait to hear from Paul on the well-being of the Bronx Bull. But they are betting 17 to 20, number 2, Gimme a Vodka. 22 to 10, number 6, the Bronx Bull. 15 to 4, number 4, I can't even say, Kudi Karan. And 9 to 2, number 5, Night Shine. Okay, let's move on to race 3, where they're betting 17 to 20, number 2, Gimme a Vodka. 22 to 10, number 6, the Bronx Bull. 15 to 4, number 4, Kudi Karan. And 9 to 2, number 5, Night Shine. Paul, I think we'll kick off with you, because you've got the second favorite in the race.
Yes, this horse, the Bronx Bull, is a lovely horse. He needed his first 2 runs, even though he won his second start. He's a full brother to that lovely filly, Rifle Queen. He's coming on the right way, and the last 2 weeks, I would say, his improvement has been spectacular. I think he'll be a massive runner here in this race. Obviously, the dangers are Give Me a Vodka, the Pandem Horse, and Night Shine. But I'm going to tip the Bronx Bull to 1.
Yeah, it's great to hear the confidence, Paul. Pierre?
Yeah, these are 2 olds. We don't know how much they're going to improve. But on current form, I thought Give Me a Vodka was horse to beat. But since Paul says the Bronx Bull has come on quite a lot, and when they tell you a horse is going to win, they seldom wrong. So I'm going to bank number 6, the Bronx Bull.
Okay, let's move on to race 4, where they're betting 24-10, number 2, Aladdin's Lamp. 5-2, number 3, Daimyo. 7-2, number 7, Enflame. 5-1, number 1, Poet's Warrior. 8-1, number 10, Kissing Machine. And 16-1, and Better the Rest. Pierre, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm going according to the betting here. The first 4 horses that I like are on the betting. I think for the bar pot, these staying races can sometimes throw a little bit of a curveball now and again, but this is not a handicap. So I'm going to lean towards a better handicapped horses, and that would be number 2, Aladdin's Lamp, number 3, Daimyo, and then number 1, Poet's Warrior. I'm just a bit worried that Poet's Warrior, he wins so well, and all of a sudden he went missing for a couple of runs, and then he won again. So I'm not so sure about trusting the form. So if you don't like Poet's Warrior, maybe you can then put in the 7, Enflame, who's a young horse, up and coming stayer. So choose between the 2 and the 3, and then choose between a 1 and a 7 as your third if you want to go big in a bar pot.
Paul, have you got anything to add?
Spot on. I've picked the same 4 horses as Pierre's picked, so I think he'll be safe there with those 4.
Yeah, I just like the way this horse Daimyo won last time. Really won a very good race. And this horse Enflame, I mean, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's won from 1 course and distance. He loves Turfentine. He's carrying 53.5. He's got to be a huge, huge runner. Let's move on to the 5th race, the Taberwise Stakes. They are betting, let me just get to the betting, guys. $16-10, number 8, One Iron Vegas. 2-1, number 2, Main Defender. 5-1, number 4, Texas Red. 7-1, number 1, Cosmic Speed. And number 3, Cat's Pajamas. 9.5-1, number 5, Money Heist. And let me just get to, and that's it. And 25-1, and Better the rest. Paulie, let's start off with you because you got the champ Main Defender running. This is 3rd run after a rest.
Okay. Obviously, the horse to beat in the race is One Iron Vegas. He's got a bit of a decent weight, and I think it's an ideal distance for him. His previous 2 starts, I felt it might have been just a tad too far. He's got great acceleration, so he is obviously the horse to beat One Iron Vegas. But in saying that, Main Defender's cherry right now, it's his 3rd run after a rest. He's doing very, very well at home. Does enjoy a little bit of sting out the ground. So I think those 2 should fight it out. With Cosmic Speed, I make 3rd best, and Money Heist to fill the quartet.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a handicap, so some horses are better handicap, and that's for that reason. Once Paul said Main Defender should be spot on, good draw, 1400 Turfentine, I think sort of ideal race for him. I'm banking Main Defender. I'm not saying One Eye in Vegas can't win, but he's not well handicapped in this race. And if you've seen the merit rating, some of the 3-year-olds have actually now dropped in the merit rating. They've been rated too high. So it gives me even more confidence on number 2, Main Defender. I thought that also could run in a places. It's a little bit of a roughie. Maybe if Main Defender doesn't win, could be Cat's Pajamas. I like draw 1 over 14 on Tiffany, and it's huge advantage. I've ridden him before. Shocking draw at Greyville, and he managed to get 1 3/4 lengths off Buffalo Storm Cody. So Cat's Pajamas could be a little bit of a lurker here if the others go missing.
Yeah, for me, I'm in the Main Defender camp, purely because Craig Zaki's done absolutely nothing wrong with him. He's now reunited with him. He's loves the course and distance, and I've always said that this horse will take a power of beating over the Turfentine 1400. So for me, I'm banking Main Defender in all my bets, in all my personal bets. I just think that third run after rest is Cherry Ripe. He's got the draw. He's got Craig Zaki. He's course and distance suited. So everything for me is in his favor. Let's move on let's move on to the first Group 1 of the day, which is the Empress Club Stakes. They're betting, and this is a proper race. They're betting 17 to 20, 8.5 to 10, double Grand Slam. She's up from Durban. I know that she was on the float, and they're raiding from Durban. 7-2, number 9, Golden Palm. 5-1, number 2, Rainbow Lorikeet. 15-2, number 3, Call Me Getrix. And 11-1, Bar the Rest. Pierre, let's start with you.
Okay, I can only see 2 horses winning this. Double Grand Slam and Rainbow Lorikeet. I'm quite surprised Rainbow Lorikeet is such a good price, because she's either beaten Double Grand Slam before or finished just behind. So there could be a value in that. I would think either banker number 1 Double Grand Slam or number 2 Rainbow Lorikeet. We don't know how they travel up, but I think one of those 2, if they are fit and well, traveled well, they could fight it out.
Paul, your view?
Yeah, double Grand Slam is obviously the class package here, and I believe she's been in the towel with Frank Robertson, and he really knows how to travel them up to Joburg. He's a master with traveling them, so she's obviously going to be a massive runner here. Rainbow Lorikeet's the next best weighted horse. She should also be in the shout. And then we're just hoping for a top 4 finish with Kishotten. She's a little bit out at the weights here, but she is doing well at home.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to give the viewers an absolute loon for the quartets. I don't think she can beat the top 2, but I think she will definitely run in the top 3 as this horse Scarlet Heart. She's carrying 57.5. She loves the course and distance. I know that it's going to be hard for her. Gavin Lerena in the saddle. If he rides.
Yeah, we don't think he
rides. But an absolute loon for quartets and trifectas. I'll be including Scarlet Heart into my quartets and trifectas. Let's move on to the big one of the day, in my opinion. And I'm glad we got Paul on the show to give us an insight onto the champ, Buffalo Storm Cody, rated 132, the highest horse or the highest rated horse in the land. Let me give you the betting first. They're betting 19 to 20, number 1, Buffalo Storm Cody. 7-1, number 2, King Dundee. 7-1, number 3, William Robertson. 10-1, number 4, Truth. And number 5, Taxi to the Moon. 16-1, and Better the Rest. Paul, let's start with you. I'm very excited to hear about what you've got to
Yeah.
say about.
Yes. First of all, as a kid growing up, this was my favorite race. It was held in Germiston, Gosforth Park, and we waited all year for it because it's just so exciting to see these speedsters gunning it down the track. Yes, our big boy Buffalo Storm Cody, he's come through his prep exceptionally well. He's actually better than his last run. He came back with a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a virus. He had a bit of a cough after his last run, and the vets sorted it out, and he's improved back to his old self now. I think it was something small still harboring from Cape Town, but now he's actually put it all behind him. He's working up a storm, and I think they've all got him to beat. Our other runner, Taxi to the Moon, is doing exceptionally well, and he's been holding his own in the similar company the last few runs. So I think he'll definitely be in the money if he's got. And then a little outsider for the quartets, Almond C. She's doing well. She runs very well for Craig, and we brought her back down in chip now. If they go at a hot pace, she'll be running on. But no doubt, Buffalo Storm Cody is the stable elect, but they're all going out trying, and they're all exceptionally well and put up their last final works were very, very good.
Well, so obviously the run in Cape Town wasn't 100% his run or his form, eh?
Yeah, no. You can just put a line through that run. He wasn't himself in Cape Town. You could see the way he was eating after the race, and when he got back to Joburg, his coat was dull. So I think there was something incubating. But he's bright now, and when two handlers have to walk him to track and walk him back, then you know he's at his best and he's still lashing out. So he's in top condition. We tried him with a small pair of blinkers, a small little quarter pair, and he worked exceptionally well with them. So it's not in the book, but we're going to make the additional change. We're going to put blinkers on him.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at form, only two horses can really win it. It's Buffalo Storm Cody and King Dundee. But if Buffalo Storm Cody didn't run to his best in Cape Town, then he's the obvious horse to win. So since you say he's very well, back to himself, I'm bankering number one Buffalo Storm Cody. So hopefully you've got two good things on Saturday, Paul.
Please God.
Yeah, my whole play is Buffalo Storm Cody. He's rated to win. He in my opinion, okay, this is the right race for him. I believe, like Paul said, that last run or that run in Cape Town in the Cape Line Championships was not his run, and he was all at sea in that run, and I believe that Buffalo Storm Cody will win.
And you know what? He wasn't drawn on the right side of the track that day. He was on the wrong side of the track. And just a little small pair of blinkers has made him a little bit sharper for the 1,000, because the 1,000s it could be a touch too short, but the blinkers, I think, will make the difference.
Absolutely. It'll sharpen him up.
Yeah.
Let's move on to race 8, which is the World Pool Premiers Champions Challenge. Another Group 1, a great race. We've got 2 riders from the Snaith Yard coming through from Durban. They're betting 16 to 10, number 1. See it again. He shortened from 18 to 10. They're betting 9 to 2, number 10, Grand Empire. 9 to 2, number 11, Trust. 7 to 1, number 5, Okavango. 15 to 2, number 3, Fire Attack. And 12 to 1, number 7, The Ultimate King. Paulie, I think let's start with you because you've got The Ultimate King in the race. And it's good to hear from you What you
Yes.
got to say about the horse?
The Ultimate King is exceptionally well. You know what? After the Summer Cup, Tony elected to give him a bit of a break, and he's a big, thick-set horse, and he actually put on more weight than we expected him to put on. So he definitely needed his 3 comeback runs. He's at a peak now. He's at the correct weight. We've got a good jockey in Callan. He came to put a leg over him. He was very, very happy with what he felt. So I think he definitely must be included in all exotics. You can't have too much confidence in this type of race because it's such strong, good horses here. But he's very, very well, and we'll be very disappointed if he's out the money. The other one, the Equator, he came back from Cape Town a bit tired, but underweight. The trip actually knocked him quite a bit, but he's put the weight back on and he's been working. I think he just loves it up here in Joburg. I'm also expecting him to be in a first 5 finish. This is we've got a champion jockey on him, Keegan de Mello, and we've tried a few different bits on him, and he seems to be thriving with the bit that we're racing him with. And I think they both should be in the first 5. My first choice in the race is Trust. I think out of the 3 holes, I prefer Trust. He's been very unlucky in his last couple of starts, and I think he'll stay the 2000. So obviously, you've got to respect See It Again and the out-of-towners, but our horses must be included, and I make the Danger Trust.
Pierre?
I only see one horse winning this race. The 3-year-olds are not well kept in this race, but obviously they are young, they can improve, so they could surprise. See It Again, hard to beat. Handicap to win, good draw, Turfentine 2000s, ideal for him. I would say that's probably his best distance. 1600 is a bit on the short side, and 2000 is sort of ideal. I mean, in handicapping terms, the other horses that are his dangers are the 2 Atticus Finch drawn 10, Fire Attack drawn 11, Royal Victory drawn 9. So all drawn quite badly. And for that reason, I just see one horse. See It Again, bank on a day.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this race is a history of throwing up results, and for me, I don't think it's a fait accompli that the 2 riders are past the post. So for me, I'm loading in the race. I tend to agree with Paul. Trust for me is a huge runner, and I like the Ultimate King.
Pierre, just one more thing. You say the 3-year-olds are under a bit of sufferance, but this race, you're correct in saying that, but they've got such a good record in this race, the 3-year-olds. Like last year, Fire Attack, he ran away with this race. So
Yeah.
I'm just do respect the 3-year-olds this time of the year in this particular race. But you also make sense in saying See It Again is the class act, yeah. So I think we've got to just respect him very much.
Yeah.
Let's move on to race 9, guys. This is the SA Derby. This is the last leg of the Triple Crown. They're betting 19 to 10. The filly, Curious Girl. And it's actually interesting that Mark de Kock actually chose to put her here. They're betting 4 to 1, number 5, Texas Missile. 4 to 1, number 10, Dear Jeans. 7 to 1, number 1, Radio Star. 10 to 1, number 8, Master Spy. 13 to 1, number 2, Tommy Shelby. 16 to 1, number 3, Copper Eagle. Pierre, let's start with you.
Very difficult race. I mean, most of these also are trying the distance for the first time. On merit rating and on form, they are very close together. I've put in a whole lot of horses, and I can start with number 1, Radius Star. I seem to have gone a little bit too fast on this horse last time. You were sitting up quite handy, and the back runners came through to win it. So this could be a nice horse, but I don't know if he'll stay the distance. Then the filly, obviously, Curious Girl. She won super impressive. And then you go down the line, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even 8. It's like, you can make a story for all of them. Put as many as you can in.
Absolutely. Paul, any thoughts?
I fancy Curious Girl. She was super impressive. Time was good last time. Over this track and trip, it's hard to look past the Decocks. They do well with their stayers. And then Piers named a few horses, but he's left one out. The Sword Speed, the 9 horse, he stopped at 8. I think the Ellison Right horse stays well. It's out of a Galileo mare. I think that's got to be included. It's got Keegan DeMello, but definitely my first choice is Curious Girl.
And Sword Speed's a nice price, Paul. It's 22-1 at this stage. There's been pressure for Curious Girl. She's been back from 5-2. She's now, as I said, 19-10. And as I've said, the betting is a little bit volatile, but it'll start as we get closer to race day. It'll start leveling out. Guys, I know I did say that we were going to stop at race 9, but I see that the last leg of the Triple Tiara is race 10. So if I can just go through it and maybe I can get a comment from you guys about the last leg of the Triple Tiara. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the betting. They are betting 6.5 to 10, number 1, Hazy Daisy. 33 to 10, number 2, Charge It from the Ellison Right Yard. 13 to 2, number 4, Little Miss Million. 10 to 1, number 3, Daisy Jones. And number 5, Drum Docket. And 35 to 1 and better the rest. Pierre, do you want to go first?
Yeah, on form, there's only one horse that can win. It's Hazy Daisy. She's been super impressive. She's won over 2,000 before. Okay, not 2,450 meters. But the fact that she ended up in front last time, it looks like she was gone at the 400-meter mark. And she started finding only herself in the last 200, and obviously pulled away when going away. So that's super impressive. If I had to back her up with one horse, if you're scared bankering her and she's going over the extra distance, I might just look at the 4, Little Miss Million. She has been beaten soundly by Hazy Daisy every time, but she's come off some bad draws. She's been dropped out far back, so it's almost impossible for her to make up all that ground. Now she's got a fair draw of 5. She gets trained at Turfentine, so there's a lot of stuff that could be in her favour if you think Hazy Daisy needs to be backed up.
Paulie, your opinion?
Yeah, I think you saw my book. Hazy Daisy obviously has done nothing wrong, and she's got to be respected as the horse to be. But this Little Miss Million, she's had something happen to her in all of her last 3 starts. And I think the further she goes, the better. And she's got Craig Zaki on now. That's his style of riding, coming from off the pace. I think if anything can beat her, it's definitely Little Miss Million, and I think she'll be competitive.
Yeah, I agree with you. I loved her run in the Guineas. She got into all the trouble in the world. On our podcast, I tipped her to beat Hazy Daisy, and I agree with Paul. The further Little Miss Million goes, the better she's going to be. I think, okay, as both of you quite rightly said, I think okay, Hazy Daisy is the filly to beat. We all like champions. She's proven that she is a champion, but for me, the roughie in the race is Little Miss Million. Guys, that brings us. Sorry, Pierre.
Before Paul goes off, just wanted to, in case the punters got a bit of a hiding, they need to get out of it or they need to double the cash. In the last race, Bay Empire. Paul, what do you think of it? I just look at the form. It's got turnaround in weights with number 4, Kambati. It's drawn 1. Good. It's a good price at the moment, and I think it could be a bit of value there. Your opinion?
Unfortunately, we lost Paul Peter. Pierre, I see you fancy Bay Empire in the last race. It's a nice price at where am I? At 13-2 right now. And must be a runner. Drawn 1, 1400 meters. Carrying 54. For me, Bay Empire must be a runner in the last.
Yeah, there's a tournament weights with Kambati, and I think that's probably the favorite. So Bay Empire could be a huge runner at a nice price, and maybe if it doesn't win, cover up with places.
Absolutely.
Sorry, guys.
Unfortunate. No, that's fine. Okay, Paulie, do you want to just talk about Bay Empire? Okay, so let's just get back to the 12th race. Okay, let's start the 12th race again, and Paulie can come in. Pierre, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Pierre, you kick it off.
All right, Paul, in race 12, you've got an interesting runner called Bay Empire. Any thoughts on him? I like him a little bit as his turnover in weights is quite a bit, and he's drawn 1 at Turfentine 1400, which is a huge advantage. And at a good price, your opinion?
Yes, he's definitely worth a few rand each way. He's drawn well, as you say, and he's going to love the stand-side track because he runs on late. He's working well, he's sound, and I think he's just turned the corner of this horse, and he's in the right place in the merit. He's got a few horses yield on the weights. I think he's got a good each-way chance.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great to hear, Paul. We want our punters to win. Okay, that's what the show's all about. So if we're in trouble going into the last, I most certainly will be having a bet on Bay Empire. Thank God I've got your number. So if all things go wobbly, I'm coming for dinner on Saturday night.
Only a pleasure.
Guys, thank you so much, Paul. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and much appreciated for giving us insight onto your runners on Saturday. For me, I always believe that we need to give the punters as much ammunition to win. It's about information. We understand that we need to study computer forms and all these betting guides, but more importantly, getting information and getting insight from people like you and from people like Pierre, is what's going to keep this game alive. And thank you so much for being with us on the show.
It's only a pleasure. You know what? I've been on the other side of the fence, the punter side, for so many years. So I know what it's like not to be informed and to know what's going on. So I really do feel for the punters, and I always like the punters to do well because they're the lifeblood of the game. So we try to be as transparent as possible and try to give them as much of the input. And we're not always right, but everything's from the heart.
Absolutely.
Well, Paul,
Pierre,
thank you.
Last word?
Thank you, Paul, and I hope you have a great day on Saturday.
Thank you so much, guys. Short.
Thank you so much. All the best.